Good early morning, everybody. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. I hope everybody's doing well. It is November 9, 2024. And I've been going through some of the files that I have and articles that I've collected over the years. And I came across one that I think you might find interesting. If you want the entire article, you can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com because this is 47 pages long. It's copyright 2009 by Northwestern University School of Law, Volume 99, Number 1, printed in the USA. It's entitled When Human Experimentation is Criminal by L. Song Richardson. And before I start reading some of this, please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow and get the message out there. And feel free to share this video if you're inclined to do so. So, medical researchers engaged in human experimentation commit criminal acts seemingly without consequence, whereas other actors who violate bodily integrity and autonomy are routinely penalized with convictions for assault, fraud, homicide. However, researchers escape criminal punishment. This article begins to scrutinize this under-criminalization phenomenon and provides a framework for understanding why researchers are not prosecuted for their crimes. It argues that their exalted social status, combined with the perceived social benefit of their research, immunizes them from use of criminal sanctions. Whether these constitute sufficient grounds to give researchers a pass from punishment is a significant question because the state's failure to act creates expressive harms. It displays attitudes towards victims and perpetrators that negatively affect the values of autonomy and dignity in medical research. Moreover, alternative sanctions not only lack the same expressive impact, but may also inadequately police criminal harm. This article concludes that this implicit immunity is harmful to society and inconsistent with criminal law policy. So, this sets the framework for the rest of the article, and obviously, if you're a targeted person, you will feel deeply affected by what I'm going to read to you. Now, just for TheTube, this is for educational purposes only. I'm actually reading a research article published in the Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology. And once again, it's printed in the USA, When Human Experimentation is Criminal. And I'm reading an article, a published article, and this is for research and educational purposes only. So let's continue here. Introduction. An unacknowledged problem exists in the realm of human subject experimentation. Criminal acts are being committed seemingly without consequence. The individuals escaping punishment are no ordinary individuals. Rather, they are medical researchers whose exalted social status, combined with social benefits of their research, appear to immunize them from punishment. Consider the following examples. This is an experiment. Pregnant women become unwitting guinea pigs in an experiment testing a medication to prevent miscarriages. And as a result, their daughters and sons are at a higher risk for the C word. The researchers are never prosecuted. A patient becomes unwitting participant in an experiment to test the safety and effectiveness of an ocular implant. Before implanting the device, the researchers tell him that it's quote-unquote quite safe and quote-unquote tried and true method of vision correction, rather than the truth that the FDA has never approved the device. The victim suffers permanent damage to his eye. The researcher is never prosecuted. A healthy 24-year-old woman participates in an asthma study. Doctors ask her to inhale a drug without telling her what it is, and that this is an experimental use of the drug, and previous inhalations resulted in being unalived, and the FDA has not approved the procedure. That was a fly. There's a fly on the screen here. And what happens? She no longer breathes. The researchers are never prosecuted. This article addresses the significant yet largely unexplored question of why medical researchers escape criminal punishment. Whereas other actors who violate bodily integrity and autonomy are routinely punished with convictions for assault, fraud, and homicide, and researchers walk away from similar crimes unsanctioned. I don't know, does this sound like that guy, that Fauci creepo? How about Bill from the Gates of Hell? This article is meant to begin a conversation that considers why criminal sanctions are not utilized in the context of human subject research and scrutinizes whether criminal punishment is an important but overlooked mechanism for protecting the dignitary interests of human subjects. Given the rise in human subject experimentation as a result of biotechnology research, this is a critical and timely question, and I need to remind you that this was written in 2009. Okay? It was written in 2009. This article examines two forms of intentional misconduct. Each, like the illustrations above, involved a researcher's purposeful and deliberate failure to obtain consent, thereby violating an individual's interest in self-determination and autonomy. And you see that? That's a fly. There's a fly in here that's driving me nuts. The first type of misconduct is that of researchers who conduct experiments on individuals without their knowledge. The second is that of researchers who deliberately fail to disclose to individuals the known and obvious risks of participation in an experiment. This occurs, for example, when the researcher intentionally fails to utilize or significantly alters an approved informed consent document. The misconduct involves acts that the criminal law typically punishes: intentional, deceptive, and non-consensual contact with the person of another. These acts are customarily prosecuted because they violate one of our most cherished entitlements: freedom from intentional and non-consensual contacts with our person. There is no question that informed consent is lacking in these cases. I focus upon the easy cases of non-disclosure in order to center full attention on the question I seek to consider: why culpable acts in human experimentation, which eliminate an individual's right to make informed choices about what will be done to her body, are not punished, while other forms of misconduct in human subject research exist and will be the subject of future articles. The fact that these straightforward cases of misconduct do not result in criminal punishment demonstrates the need to explore the initial question of why the criminal sanction is overlooked. This article provides the first framework for understanding why research misconduct in the form of deceit and violations of bodily integrity currently escapes criminal punishment. The framework has two components, which I label idealization bias and social benefit bias. Idealization bias refers to the difficulty individuals may have in viewing researchers, who are often doctors, as criminals deserving of punishment. I don't know, folks. I don't know about you. I have zero problem labeling any doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist as criminal, deserving of punishment. Social benefit bias refers to the hypothesis that research misconduct is often ignored or forgiven because of the perceived societal value of the research. I do not see the value of much of this research. Much of it is redundant. We have computer models now. We don't need humans or animals anymore to be experimented on. It's purely for the sadistic pleasure of the researchers. This article posits that idealization and social benefit bias may affect decision making in ways that can result in researchers being immunized from criminal punishment. This implicit immunity is harmful because states' failure to punish researchers creates expressive harms by displaying attitudes towards victims and perpetrators that negatively affect the values of autonomy and dignity in medical research. While sanctions outside the criminal context do exist, these alternatives not only lack the same expressive impact, but also may inadequately police criminal harm. This article unfolds in 5 parts. Part 2 discusses idealization and social benefit bias. Part 3 scrutinizes the expressive role of criminal punishment and the shortcomings of alternative sanctions. Part 4 discusses the utility of imposing punishment, and Part 5 addresses arguments against the use of criminal sanction and examines considerations that can guide policy. The conclusion argues that criminal punishment can restore the protection of dignity and autonomy in human subject research.